Good. Number two, we have now created and bought a brand new computer system for the Civitan International. You're going, why does that matter to me? Because right now, International has 7 different computer systems that did not talk to one another. Last year, the junior Civitan crashed. They lost 3 months of data, and it took them 2.5 months to get the computer up and running again just so they could retrieve it. We have now bought a brand new system called Blackbot, and every 10 minutes it is backing up everything in International. International is now re-inputting everything that we've ever done on the computer system so it's not lost. If you want a question asked, you can call. I've got a lot of past governors in here. Raise your hand. If y'all ever called International and been sent to 14 departments, just so we don't have 14, but you went and sent to 14 people to get one answer. It's all going to be there, and you know why? Guess what? When the club president calls or somebody else calls, they're going to get an answer and going to get it really quick. So it's going to be something that's kept up for y'all and doing better. We're trying to make sure that we're doing everything we can, because one thing we don't want to do is what? Raise dues. Because if you try to raise dues, what happens?
Don't lose people.
Pitchforks come out. And it's right. So we want to try to do everything we can to make it easier and cheaper at International so we can do things for you. Another thing we changed, International Convention. Who's going to convention this year? Y'all need to make sure that y'all are coming because we're doing some stupid things at convention this year. I'm in charge, so it's going to be done. We have added some things that we've never done before. If you want to just go to the meetings, we have a special price for you. And we did put an installation banquet and a welcome reception in that price. It's just for meetings. So folks that don't have a lot of money or don't want to care about going to installation banquets or anything else, there's a small stipend that you can do with that. If you want to go to the banquets and the welcome reception, which is going to be cool, it's going to be in the 1920s theme. Some of you were around in the 20s, you know. So it's a throwback for y'all. It's true. It's true. You know, back there, he just told me his brand new club member is 95 years old. 95 years old. See, we can take anybody 95 years old. Yeah. But you know, it's going to be a throwback because you know, last time we were in St. Louis for a convention was 1937. So it's going to be sort of reminiscent of that. So it's going to be a real fun, sort of exciting sort of event. And one thing we've added this year that we've not had in a long time, children's programs. So if you have children, you can bring them from 3 to 16. We have a special program just for the kids, and they're not going to be with you. And I know some of you have grandchildren, and some maybe great-grandchildren. You can bring those kids, and they can still do that as well. And it's going to be fun and exciting for them because what do we want to bring back? The family feel. We want to make the people feel that you can come to a convention and bring your family and make it a destination and make it fun. So we're doing some things like that. We've set up a 100-year anniversary committee because what's going to happen in a couple of years? We're going to turn 100 years old. And that's going to be a great thing. We're taking it back to Birmingham. You're going to get to see some of the research center. You're going to see, hopefully, a renovated international headquarters and some other things. So we're going to do this. We've set up a major gifts category. Our organization has never had a major gifts category. So you could buy all those fellows. You know those fellows that we got. But after you got done with fellows, if you wanted to give more money, guess what happened? You had to be dead. That was it. The only way we were taking money is if somebody died, we would take some money, but we didn't have a way to do it. We've now set up a major gifts category so folks who want to contribute can be recognized for their contribution back to our organization, which is a great thing. Now let's talk about training and videos. Right now we have President and President-elect on the web to do web. This year they're being redone, so how many treasurers have been treasurer for 42 years. Raise your hand, you know you're out there. Because once you get that job, nobody else takes it away from you. You know, that's how it is. Now, I will tell you, we are now revamping that both secretary and treasurer training. It's going to be a little bit better. We just set up a leadership committee that is actually sending a recommendation to the geographic trainers that have to get it back to us very soon. That by 2016, which is not this training cycle, but the next training cycle, we will do president and president-elect training online as well. Isn't that good? Now, I'm excited about that. It makes me happy that we did something right. Now, with that is because if you were president 4 times, or 5 or 12, or how many times you circle back up. I'll tell you, I was in the Great Southwest the other day and spoke. You know how many presidents one club had? 4. They couldn't find the president, so each one of them did a quarter. Is president. Smart thing? That may work for my club. But you know what? Let me tell you what. I'm going to take a side note. I'm going to step up here. I'm going to make sure some of y'all look at a different side of me. I'm sorry. Let's give it another side of it. You know what I was happy about with that club more than anything else?
I do.
They kept on going.
Yeah.
They did not turn over their ghost and give away their charter because they couldn't find a club president. We have lost 6 clubs this year with over 25 members in each one of the clubs. You know why? One person gave up on that club. And they built the whole club around what? One person. And when that club went, they looked at us and said, we don't want to do it anymore. We got to change the mentality. It's not about international. It's not about the one club president. It's about what we're doing in the community. My father ended up having cancer. I went to go visit my dad in Virginia after I went to Dance-a-thon. And I stopped by and I called the governor for the district and said, who's meeting and how close am I to him? It was in Virginia, so I stopped by the Norfolk Civitan Club. Now, the Norfolk Civitan Club is one of those old ranking clubs too. At one time they had 250 members.
Wow.
I walked in. The youngest member in that room was 82. Because I asked. There were 12 of them in that room. The youngest one was 82. And they looked at me and they said, you know, we think we're going to turn in our charter. I said, oh, no, you're not. I said, let's look at you. How many club members you got? 25. 25 members. Now, what did you do last year? Well, we did, and they named about 12 things that they did. And I said, how much money did you give away last year? Over $30,000. You have a club that's giving away $30,000 in scholarships and to special needs classrooms and everything else. What's going to happen to those people if you quit? Nobody's ever asked us that. What did you do the year before? They gave $1 million piece of property away to build a special needs camp. And I said, how much money you got in the bank still? I was being nosy. They had over $300,000 in the bank still.
The club?
The club. And I said, you know what you need to be doing? Taking some of that money and go recruit some more people. You know. And I said, did you know you're having convention here next year? And you know what they said? No. I said, so you can't quit. And I said, you need to be back up. And you know, I went and worked with them on a plan to try to revitalize that club and send the governor back over there to work with. What happens is we need to take a look as districts and everything else on how to better work with those clubs, because we've seen them. Some of those clubs that fell out this year hadn't met in 3 years. If they hadn't met in 3 years, they need to be gone, or we need to send somebody in there to work with them. That goes to our next point. Every time, according to the GE training, we ask the governors in the district, where's your 3-year plan? You know what international doesn't have? A 3-year plan. Yeah, let's talk about hypocritical. You know what we set up? A 3-year plan. We're actually working, and the board is going to hear. The board doesn't even know all this good stuff. Some of the stuff that we're going to present at the international board meeting at the convention. we're presenting a 3-year plan that's gonna be very effective to revitalize the districts and try to help re-get that energy back up, because that's what we need. We need to have somebody to be a cheerleader as a whole organization. One thing I told my governors more than anything else, and it goes with clubs too, it's not about my year. It's not about Bob Robinson's year for last year, or Debbie Juki's year for next year. It's about the Civitan year. We need to be working with one another to make sure that we're bridging from one gap to the next gap and keeping that momentum living in our districts and our clubs, so we can make sure that we're doing the things in our community that's really good. People talk about how do we recruit new members? How do we get new members, and how do we keep them when we do it? You gotta love on folks. Is your club contacting those people that haven't been there? I know it sounds corny, but do we actually do it? We hear the stuff all the time. Are we working with them? Are we trying to keep them active? Are we doing other things? Sometimes we don't do it because it becomes so old habit. It's like husband and wife. Now, if I ignore my wife, what's gonna happen? She's gonna hit me with that cane. No, how's that relationship gonna be? You know, sometimes you have to revitalize and get really happy with one another. Even if you give signals on what you spend across the way from one another, you have to do it. Same thing as clubs. We have to make sure that we're doing the same thing to revitalize what we do. And we always look at it's somebody else's issue to do it, don't we? If somebody else is going to do it in the club and somebody else is going to carry it, because we've been doing it 100 years. You know what it's time to do? For us to really become serious about doing it in the first place. I love it. Don't move your hat. Is this yours? Is that y'all? I'm going to use this. I'm going to sit down. I'm sorry, y'all don't look at me strange. This guy sit beside you. Sure. Okay, good, dog. Now, let me just say, there was a great woman that I met in the district not too long ago. She cared about her club, and she wanted to start growing her club. And she didn't know how to do it. So she decided to go to funerals. Okay, did you hear me? She went to funerals. So right now, that one's not mine. Okay. So she's going now, her husband just passed, and she realized that when she went to the funeral that she could get members. So she's sitting down at funerals now and sitting next to somebody and going, look at him over in that casket. Doesn't he look good? You know, before I'm laying down in that casket, I want to make sure I'm doing something good in my community. You know, I belong to this Civitan community. By the way, I got something in my purse. And she pulls out a pamphlet and a membership card. And she gives it to the person sitting next to him, saying, you know you want to do something before you're laying down there in that casket too. You know what? She's recruited 7 members this year. All from funeral homes. Now, do we think folks are gotten too old to do things? No. We talked about it back there. Guess what? It's a frame of mind and a frame of heart.